Hi everyone, I'm Cheryl and welcome to the Sewing Room channel, and this is your tip of the week. I like to use rickrack as a decorative edge. This is a round pot holder, and then when I do a square drink coaster, I will round the corners just a little bit. It makes it easier to put the rickrack on. Now here's a placemat that's completely round. It's not done yet because I'm going to show you just how easy it is to put that rickrack on. So here is one side of the placemat. I like to make my placemats two-sided. So this is one side. On one of them I went ahead and put fusible interfacing. You can use, in your placemats, you can use fusible interfacing, fusible fleece, cotton batting. It's whatever you want to do. So if you're going to use any fusible product, I would go ahead and fuse it on and then do the rickrack. So here's the rickrack. I place the little rounded edges here up against the raw edge of my fabric. I don't pin it on. I'm going to stitch a little bit, line up the rickrack, stitch a little more. But to hold everything in place for you while you're lining it up, have your needle dropped down through all your layers of fabric. On your computerized sewing machines, there's a button you can press to where it will always leave the needle down through your fabric whenever you lift your foot off of the pedal, and it also lifts the presser foot. So the needle is holding everything together while you adjust your rickrack. So stitch a little bit, adjust the rickrack, stitch some more. Continue all the way around. When you come back close to where you started, you're going to pull this piece out just a little bit because you don't want this raw edge to show. And then you're going to overlap the two pieces and pull the other end out just a little bit. And then you'll finish stitching across there. Then to sew your other piece on the back, go ahead and lay it down and line it up. And you can place some pins to hold it in place. Then flip it over. Now, unfortunately, on this sample, I didn't use super dark fabric, but I'm hoping you can see. This is the stitch line that held the rickrack on. So all you're going to do is stitch right over that same line of stitching all the way around. Now, whenever you're sewing a placemat and you're doing something like this, leave an opening so you can turn it front side out. So then after you're done, make sure you always do little clips in your fabric. And what I do is I usually will do little clips in between where the rickrack curved areas are. And then so that when you turn it right side out, everything lays nice and smooth. And then one more thing, once you turn it front side out, then do another line of stitching close to the edge all the way around. Recently I had a question from someone who wanted to clarify some things in making a boxed bottom on a bag. So here is a little denim tote bag, and it just has a very narrow boxed bottom area. It's only about 2 inches from front to back, but you can make them any width you want. So I'm going to go over how you calculate that width and how easy it is to prepare your fabric to make the box bottom. So first, figure out what your depth is from front to back of the bag. So I'm using a depth of 3 inches. Divide that by 2, which equals 1.5 inches. I'm going to add a seam allowance of 1/2 inch, so 0.5 inches. If you're using a bigger seam allowance, add whatever seam allowance you're using. So mine calculates out to a 2-inch square that I need to cut out of all of the corners. Then take a ruler and line up your ruler. So you come up with 2 inches and then draw a line around that. Then go over to the other corner and repeat that and draw that square. Then stitch whatever seam allowance you're going to use, whatever your pattern calls for, and stitch along the bottom and the 2 sides. And this is would be the lining. So you always want to make sure you leave an opening on your lining fabric, a pretty large opening, so you can turn it front side out later. Then on your other fabric, let's say this is the fabric for the outside of the bag, fuse on whatever interfacing or fusible fleece you're using, or if you're using cotton batting. So get all that done, then cut your squares out. So now to finish stitching your corners, I like to take just one side of the seam and just finger press it a little bit and do the same thing on the sides. Same thing, open it up and just finger press it. Now open it up at the opposite end of the bottom and turn it on its side and pull it apart like this. Then take the section in each corner, take the seam here and the seam on the other side and match it up, put a few pins to hold, and then stitch across up for the final seam here. And then do the same thing in the other corner, and then you would also do it on the other piece for the outside of the bag. So I hope that clarifies some of the issues you may have run into when doing a box bottom. This is a little Easter basket. I bought at Dollar Tree about a year ago. And it's really poorly made. Of course, when you buy things at Dollar Tree, it's not all that great. It's not very good quality at all, but it's cheap. So why did I buy it? It's because I liked the overall look of the bag and I liked this face and I wanted to duplicate this project except make it a lot nicer. So if you see something, a face on something or some other design that you want to duplicate, you could either use tissue paper, lay it over the top, and then trace it. So that's one method of duplicating it. Or you can do what I did, was I put this bag face down in my photocopier printer and printed it out. So I'll show you now how I duplicated it onto my project. So before I stitched the whole basket together, I had my fabric cut out. I decided where I wanted the face to be, laid it in that area and pinned it down. Now I made sure I had interfacing underneath my fabric because it'll come out a lot nicer. Then I stitched right over these lines, and this what it came out as. And instead of using felt for the nose, I used a heart-shaped button and just 2 black buttons for the eyes, and it looks great. Well, I hope this tip of the week was helpful to you and that you learned something new. Now, if you're interested in any of these projects that I used in this demonstration, I will have some links down below your YouTube screen in your description section. So just scroll down until you see the word more, and then click on that word, and that section will expand open and you will see all of the links. Now don't forget to follow me on Instagram and make sure you check out my Facebook page. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time, and happy sewing. If you like the Sewing Room channel, one of the best ways to show your support is to subscribe by clicking on that red subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. And don't forget to click on share to share this video with your friends. And make sure you click on the bell so you receive notifications for all my new videos. I'm Cheryl, this is Manny, and this is Scotty. See you next time.